Well, hello there and welcome to Monday Night Live. It's Yvonne here. I'm coming to you back in my hometown of Brisbane. So you might recall if you were here last week, I was tuning in from Sydney. So welcome. Go ahead and say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. If you are a member, hello, welcome. If you're watching on replay, welcome. Thank you for watching again. And if you are brand new to us, then an extra big hello. I'm Yvonne Shepherd, the founder and CEO of Women's Fitness Adventures. And I've been doing this for 10 years now. So I just talked to this green dot on the screen. So if you think, I don't know, that you don't want to be seen, just put yourself in my place and go ahead and say hi. I'd love to know if you're watching. Hello, Marie. I should have... I was so tired after the run on the weekend, but I should have reached out and we should have said hello. So hopefully you had a good run and you've recovered. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired. So for those of you who wonder what on earth I'm talking about, I did a fun run on the weekend and Marie happened to be in the same location and we just discovered that on Facebook. So welcome everyone. Tonight I want to talk about something in a different way. I often get asked the question, well, I always get asked the question about our fitness level, and I had some questions that I was fielding last week when I was in Sydney for a business event all week. And the questions are, do you think I could do a multi-day hike? Do you think I could do it? And, how long is it? And how many kilometers? And all of those questions. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Kerry. And the questions that I put back onto people is for you to actually make your own self-assessment. So I'm going to come to that from a different way. And if you remember, you probably think that I might talk about this all the time, but I have a question that we have in our terms and conditions, but also that we have I ask of you so that you can do a self-assessment of where you're at. So we're also streaming for the very first time tonight live to YouTube. I haven't done that before. So if you're on YouTube, hello, let me know if it works. Normally we just put the replay in, so hopefully it will work on YouTube. So the question I ask people when they say to me, do you think I could do it? And I don't know the person. So for those members who I know quite well, it would be, probably not this question, but to someone I don't know particularly well would be, and someone said to me the other day, do you think I could do it? And I said, well, and I showed them some pictures of a particular trail in question. And I said, here's what I would do if I were you. And does anyone know what I'm going to say? I would go to your doctor, or even pretend that you were going to your doctor and say to your doctor, hello, doctor, this is what I am wanting to do. What would you say? What would the doctor say? What do you think? And so by asking that question of yourself, you don't even have to go to the doctor. It is, okay, I'm wanting to do this hike, this multi-day hike, or get involved, or do this or do that. Dear doctor, I'm wanting to do this hike. What would you say? And so then why do I ask that question? Because it's really encouraging you to get real with your own health and wellness about where you're at and what you would need to do to get prepared. And it's not to scare you off. It's just to get this self-assessment of where you might be. So if you think about that, the doctor would say, okay, well, you're currently here with your current health from what I know. And if you'd never go to a doctor, think about what the doctor might say to you. And so he or she, they would look at your medical history and your current health and go, okay, well, yes or no. So you kind of have this triage of questions for yourself. Dear doctor, I'm planning on doing this hike. What do you think? Check in with your medical, your current medical health and your past history. And it just encourages you to think about, have I, if I've done anything like this before, or have I not done anything like this before? If I have, did I have any health considerations when I did it? Or did I have any injuries going, into it, going out of it? Just to really assess where you are from a health perspective, because that's really, really important. Hello, Leonie. Hello, Karen. And hello, Marianne as well. I've been watching your adventures, Marianne. But the doctor can also give you, I guess, some professional health advice. They may or may not be a hiker, and that's really just quite irrelevant, because every medical person generally, if we're, in reasonable health, would want us to be more active in our life. That's the general guidelines around the world. And hi, Chris, listening in the car. The general guidelines around the world is that we should be moving more often than we are. But if you ask yourself this hypothetical question, dear doctor, I want to go on a hike. What do you think? We've assessed our current health and we've assessed our medical history in our own head. We may or may not have gone to the doctor. We also can highlight any risks, such as, when I go hiking in warm weather, I overheat. How do I overcome that? Or last time I was in cold weather, my fingers got numb or whatever it might be. So you can kind of start to assess this picture of where you've been or where you're coming from, or any incidents that might have happened. But also the doctor, if you reflect on what a doctor would say, it can incorporate that professional health perspective, which can, just give you some more questions to ask or give you the all clear to go. And just considering any safety precautions that, you might need to take. So perhaps the hike is at altitude and you've never done altitude before. So if I am, me going to the doctor, dear doctor, I want to go on this hike, there's altitude, what do you think? And the doctor may say, hypothetically, yeah, I'm good to go. You just need to, get yourself some medication. Or how about, I think maybe you shouldn't start with that, maybe start with something a little bit lower, because it's a really good, honest way for you to have this hypothetical conversation with yourself, or real, by going to the doctor, about your assessment for a hike. It's letting you assess, because I truly believe that, if you're in general health and prepared to put in the training, then you can really succeed at any hike. But it's really important to ask yourself these questions, because it brings this self-awareness to us and honesty with ourselves as well. Not saying we're dishonest, but it really starts to dig down deeper into some of the questions. And there was a really great quote I saw yesterday, and it was, how we all say we don't have time to train, we don't have time to exercise, but it really just shot that out of the water. I'll see if I can find it. It was something like, you're basically lying if you don't have time, because we all have time to exercise. It's just where we choose to put our priorities. The other thing is, acknowledging our limitations. So, dear doctor, I want to go on this hike. What do you suggest? Or, what would you say? And the doctor may say, well, you have a fear of heights. Not that that's probably a doctor thing, but you have a fear of heights. Are you sure that your vertigo might exist at climbing up ladders or something like that? So really just getting real around, your self-awareness, that honesty with yourself, your current limiting beliefs as well. Trying to get to some sort of acknowledgement of whether it's the voices in our head, the voices that sit on our shoulder, whether it's our own limiting beliefs, whether it is our physical or some sort of medical capacity that would limit us or not limit us, or whether that is a crutch. I broke my ankle 25 years ago and I've never been able to hike since, so I'm never going to do that again, which is a story that we keep telling ourselves. And a couple of the leaders and I were talking today about the stories we tell ourselves. And sometimes we don't know how to rewrite the story till we surround ourselves with the people that can help us take the first step in rewriting our story. And I think that's a really, really important thing to consider, because we can get stuck in defining ourselves being a certain type of person, or a certain injury or illness or issue that carries us forward, that we define ourselves by, and it limits us from what we are wanting to do. And it really just, is that the story that we want ours to be, or is that the story we just keep telling ourselves because we don't have the right support around us to rewrite our story? How do we even start, that new chapter? Leonie says, I'm going to my physio on Friday as I've had some small niggles in my knee. I'm looking forward to his honest opinion, ways to strengthen it, and looking forward to Great Ocean Road. Leonie, I absolutely love that, because, when we have these little, and my husband's got the same, and I've got a bit of an Achilles thing ongoing, and I'm working with the physio. I don't want to have to give up anything in my world. So how do I work with the professionals to build strength to be able to do the things that I want to do. And if we don't listen to the niggles, it will become a bigger issue if we just brush it off and go, oh, it's nothing. But you know what? Having those experts around you will make you stronger, will make you faster, probably, and will make you less prone to injury down the track. And we think, I don't want to go to the physio, I don't want to spend the money on the physio. But you know what? It is actually, 2 steps forward, no steps back when you get those right health professionals around you. Thank you for sharing that too, Leonie. The other thing is, we've got this hypothetical question. If I was to go to the doctor, what would they say? And if anyone else wants to share their story, I'd really love that too. Or has a question or a comment or a disagreement, please jump in. Dear doctor, I want to do this multi-day hike, or I want to get into hiking. What would you say? All hypothetical, because this is really a conversation that we can have with ourselves. And, we can then start to think about different scenarios. So the scenario could be that, dear doctor, I want to do this hike. What do you think? And the doctor will ask what type of hike it is. And is there, hills and uphill and downhill and stairs and all that sort of thing. And you can have in your head, I want to do this hike. Maybe it's the Cinque Terre in Italy. There's lots of stairs over there. But you can then, in your own head, have this discussion, well, I'm not particularly strong at stairs, particularly going up or coming down stairs. Or I'm okay with stairs, but I get really out of breath when it comes up to, to walking up 10 flights of stairs in one go or something like that. So it's not that medically you wouldn't be able to go, but you're then starting to assess what your current limitations are. And when we know what our current limitations are, we can then start to either work on those and say, I'm a work in progress. I'm really looking forward to the day where, yes, I can walk upstairs and I can still puff, but it won't bother me as much. Or we look at our limitations saying, I can't do stairs and I'm just not going to do stairs at all. Therefore, I'm not going to do, this type of activity. Hello, Kylie from Mackay. Nice to have you here as well. And then, put in all the hypothetical outcomes as well, because we are really good at telling ourselves stories that stop us from doing things. And we're really good at fearing failure. And it's not really failure. Failure is when you don't try, when you just give up. But we're really good at the what ifs, and the what ifs hold us back as well. Those stories that we tell ourselves that define us. So, the hypothetical outcome, and you can flick back and forth. So, okay, dear doctor, I want to go on this hike. What would you say? And the doctor would say, well, you're on some medication. I think you would need to, take that with you. That's great. No problem. Or you could flip that to the other way in the hypothetical and go, oh, you're on medication. No, I'm not going to go because I'm on medication. So have a think about, all these hypothetical outcomes. I've got a sore leg. And no, I don't want to work with the physio, so therefore I can't go. Or I've got a sore leg. What a great opportunity to, as Leonie is, to get stronger and, fitter and faster and minimize my risk of injury happening again. But also taking that so much further down the track. What if I got stronger and fitter and faster from whatever base you're on, so that means in 20 years' time, I'm going to be able to walk as freely and as comfortably in my world as I do right now. So the stories we're telling ourselves right now, these hypothetical conversations we're having with ourselves, are still going to be there in 20 years' time if we're not addressing them, or we will have replaced them with a different hypothetical. And the choice is really yours. And if you think about where we are now, and with Women's Fitness Adventures, we are 10 years on. Karen, who's watching, I've known for about 15 or 16 years now. And I know that if we had have kept writing and telling ourselves the same story, 15 or 16 years ago, and not moving on with our body strength, not moving on with our functional exercises, Karen's been on several hikes with us, not really focused on the health outcomes that we wanted, but telling ourselves a story that would have kept us in the same place, our scenarios, Karen, and if you're still watching, would be very different to what they are now, where we have this ability to move freely through the world. And, the time will pass anyway. The time will, if we all look back to, January 2020, when the world changed for years, that time passed anyway? And where have we come? What have we done in those last years? And, they often say the best day to plant a tree was yesterday and the second best day is today. And Marie, at the running festival on the weekend, there was so many people of all ages and shapes and sizes doing remarkable things, anywhere from 4 kilometers to 50 kilometers in their running over the weekend. And every single one of those people started with the first step. They may not have, I would say the majority of those might have been their first run, and that many of those were never runners as children, but they just decided to rewrite their story and the hypothetical conversations they have with themselves when they first start. But, dear doctor, I want to go on this hike. What would you say? Hypothetical, of course, is, what things might you need to do or adjust or move out of the way or check in on regularly or measure so that you could see that you were making progress? So the doctor says yes, the doctor says no. What outcome are you pinning yourself onto? And maybe the one that you said, dear doctor, I want to do this one, isn't actually the one that you should start with, but maybe that's the one that you move to second or third. I'm going to share that one in a minute, Louise. It's also, planning for just regular checks in there as well. So I say this all the time to women hikers. And, one of our great strengths here at Women's Fitness Adventures from all of our leaders is that we really know women. We have been working with women. I've been working with women in the health and fitness space for over 17 years now. And our leaders have been in the space for, 9, 10, 11 years. And in a teaching capacity for longer. And, we really know women. We know all the excuses. We've heard all the excuses. We know most of the niggles and injuries. We're not medical professionals, but we've heard the stories. We've heard so many different stories about why women can or can't get started. And it is really just the stories in our head that we tell ourselves. Some of us may never go on to do, the big challenging things, but we can go on to do the things that are big and challenging for us in our own little space. Louise says, I told my doctor I was walking the Camino and her first reaction was, I wish I could come too. And then she gave me some breathing exercises for my asthma. Oh, so much, Louise, in that statement there to unpack. Already identified there's a current health assessment with some asthma. How do I do this amazing thing that I want to do, and manage this thing that is there in my life, and then having that full support of the doctor to really encourage you to do it in a safe and supportive way, knowing you'll get the right advice. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And Marie says, we were just talking about the fun run on the weekend, and Marie said it was just amazing to watch. There were 8,000 runners, so many in the older age group. Hang on, Marie, what do we define as older? Just getting out there and doing it in their own pace and time. So inspirational. And there was a fellow, the 50-kilometer race started at 5 a.m. on Sunday, and it was a Coolangatta. So it was pretty bakey warm yesterday, bake a pie on the footpath or fry the bacon and eggs. And these two guys were still going at 11:30. So they were 6.5 hours in, and they were walk running, but they would have been, I don't know what you define as old, Marie, but they would have been, I reckon, or maybe well into their 80s. And they were just doing it in their own time and their own pace. And they were super, super inspirational. And Kerry says, here, we seem to have got the right doctors. My consults with my doctor turn into discussions about where we are both walking next. And you'd be hard pressed to find a medical professional that wouldn't encourage you to walk or move more. So these discussions, this hypothetical discussion that we have with our hypothetical medical person, is we can choose the outcome that we want. And if it was, and the person I was talking to the other day, where I didn't say no, I just posed that question saying, if you were to ask your doctor this question, what do you think the doctor would say? And the person said to me, probably not to start with that one, but I now understand why, because they actually then had thought about their own world, their own little ecosystem and what, what that meant for them. But the other reason to ask yourself the question, dear doctor, I'd like to do this hike. What do you think, hypothetically, is that you're really working in your own boundaries. That you're just being responsible to yourself if you're answering it for yourself. You don't, honestly, for yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone. But if you are thinking, I just want to start, but my, I've been carrying some extra weight, and if I went to the doctor and said, dear doctor, I'd like to start doing this, what would you say? And the doctor would say, it's a great idea. Getting into hiking is a great way to, get the body into shape and perhaps lose some excess kilos. But more importantly, it's good for your heart and, blood sugar levels and all that sort of thing. And you don't like that outcome, that's really getting honest with yourself as well. If you think that if I asked the doctor that and they would say that, but that's really not what I wanted to hear, that's time to sit down and have a really good conversation with yourself about, what is it that you actually, where do you want to spend your time, and what is it that you actually want to do? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. And Leonie here, I'm going to perfect segue into this one. Leonie heard a quote the other day and has written it down because she loved it so much. It said, what you're not changing, you're choosing. And it's the same with our time as well. If we're not allocating our time, then here I found this quote. If you're not allocating your time, someone else will allocate it for you, whether that's family, whether that's work, whether that's TV, whether that's something else. If you're not allocating your time to the things that you want to do, and sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, but in the times where you get to choose, make sure you get to choose, because somebody else will choose it for you. Marie says at the run she saw one into the ages, she reckons around in the 80s, which is so amazing to see. What role models is that? Sharon says she discusses the Mount Cootha trails with her dentist. How do you do that, Sharon? Because I normally have a mouthful of stuff. He is much younger than me, but struggles with some of the trails. Yeah, Sharon, you're a bit of a legend, though. Don't forget that. And also all of us, such inspiration to generations of women in particular, and younger people out there. And I remember someone was asking me this morning, someone new came along to hiking on Mondays and asked me, the history. And I said, we're 10 years old this year. And when we first started, it was really strange phenomenon to see women, generally over 40, who were out there hiking on the trails, and women of all ages, shapes and sizes. And now it's quite a common thing, but it was very inspirational to a lot of people out there. Karen says, hello, Karen, a solution to every problem or a problem for every solution. You choose. This one here, I found, the one I was just talking about, and it says, if you're serious about changing your life, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. I'm going to put that into the Facebook page. I think that's really, really important, because we all can talk about wanting to change. And I was at my business conference last week, and someone there was really wanting to change, and they were so passionate about wanting to change that every time they spoke about the thing that they wanted to do, they welled up with tears. And so they would find a way. Have you ever wanted something so much that you put it out there to the universe, and then the universe responded? You found a way, whether, whatever that might be, you found a way. So, if you ever get stuck and think, I'm not going to answer that question for you, do you think I could do it? Because as I said, I do believe that anyone can do a multi-day hike with the right amount of training and choosing the right adventure to start with, and the right amount of support and guidance around you. But, the question really comes down to, do you think you could do a multi-day hike? And a great way to really do that hypothetical self-assessment is, if you were to ask your doctor, the same question, what would the doctor say? And it just forces you to get really, really honest with yourself, to really dig deep into what it is you want to do, but also to dig deep into the type of person you want to be health-wise going forward, because it's not just a question for today or a question for the hike. It's a question for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And if you want to be not so much a runner, but like those old guys who are out there just moving it and, everybody shuffling and so inspirational, then, that journey starts today, really. And I know that most of our members who are watching, almost all of you, are moving and grooving all the time anyway. So that's what I wanted to share today. Just a couple of other updates I would like to share. Our Tarkine adventure, if we have 2 spots left on that, but that has to close on December 11. We will not be able to take any more bookings for that if they're not sold out by then. So if you're thinking of Tarkine, which is a wonderful introductory adventure, remember, if you're thinking about it, just ask yourself that hypothetical question. We have 1 spot left on our Pyrenees for September next year. That's a challenging hike, but just so rewarding. Our Germany Painter's Way, which is the most delightful hike, still has some spots on that one. That's in May, so book into that. All the others are filling up pretty quick. Our middle of the year ones are just slowly building. We've just released the Outback one as well. Now, one thing I want everyone to do this week, really, really, really important. Are you listening up? Is our Couch to Mountain groups are finally making the summit this weekend. So for those of you who don't know what the Couch to Mountain program is, it's a program we dreamed up and started 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we kind of brought it to fruition, and this is our 4th year of doing it. So women from all over Australia have been training online with us every fortnight in webinars and with training plans that we supply and having some online walks. And for 6 months have been doing that, and they come together this coming 4 days from Friday. And then the following 4 days after that, so the next 9 days from Friday, 2 groups, and we'll summit Mount Kosciuszko, Australia's highest peak, not from the ground. And when I say summit, we're not climbing rocks or anything. We're on trails. And so we'll literally have gone from the couch to the mountain. And what does couch mean? Couch means that you've just been busy with life. Not just you've been busy with life, or you may have had some hiking experience in the past and things have just lapsed, or, just some of the things that come in, into our lives as women meant we haven't been able to put ourselves first. So there are 26 women going, 14 in the first group and 12 in the second group. So Jane will be taking the group from Friday. So you will start to see pictures on our page right here on Friday. So I really want you, Saturday's the summit day. I really want you, if you are around, to just look out and really encourage and give a big shout out to the team summiting Kosciuszko this weekend. And then, I'll fill you in when I'm going next week, because this is a big deal. They're all really nervous, and it's fantastic to be nervous and excited about something. That friendly fear we often talk about. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And they all sat, there in excitement and trepidation when they joined the program back in June when it started. And now here they are. As I said, the time has passed. Now here they are, ready to go summit, and they have all the skills, they have all the knowledge, they have all the fitness, all the gear and equipment, all the capability that they need to not only conquer this mountain and this adventure, but pretty much any other adventure that they choose, because all that skill and all that knowledge is now, really deep down embedded inside them. So it's going to be very emotional as well. So I really encourage everyone to, really look out for that. You might find on Saturday, I'll ask Jane to send a message if she can, when they're close to the summit, and we might put that in the group. Going there close to the summit, it's your turn to, really just tune in and shine. I'll get them to do a live if I can. So really, it makes such a difference. You might think on Facebook it doesn't make any difference, but it makes such a difference if the whole community is cheering women on, because so many times we just tear each other down as a collective when really we should be supporting each other in so many ways. And now's our big time to do that. So that's what's coming up this weekend, and it's so exciting, and we get so much fulfillment out of sharing this adventure, and we know that it changes women's lives. So you too can be part of that in your own way by, really getting on there and encouraging them. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope that your that question of the hypothetical, if I went to my doctor, what would they say, sticks with you in some way. Feel free to comment away afterwards. And if you have any questions about anything, please let me know, or you want to have a chat about an adventure, we're here. So I will tune in with you next Monday for Monday Night Live. So thanks. I'll see you then. Bye.